Okay, the story that we're reading is realistic fiction. And I've got an anchor chart here that explains what realistic fiction is. When I look at the words realistic fiction, I recognize fiction, which means that it is not real, it is fake. So this story is not a real story. But then I look at realistic. Realistic means that something happened and it is real. So when I put realistic fiction together, it means that this story could be real, but it's not. But it can actually happen. It's not about aliens attacking the planet Earth or us going to the moon and living in the moon. It's actually something that could happen, but the story itself did not happen. So that's what this chart explains. I will see in this story characters, which are the people that come out. They could either be people or animals. They're just my characters. The setting, which we talked about, which is where the story happens and when the story happens. It could either be, like, for example, outside, inside, in a clubhouse, at school. It could be in the morning, in the daytime, in the afternoon, at nighttime. That describes your setting. All right. The setting can also affect what characters do. So, if, for example, if the setting is a sunny day, then the characters are able to do certain things, and that's where our events come in. If it's a sunny day, then the characters can be outside playing. But if the setting is a rainy day, then our characters more than likely will have to be inside. And that is our anchor chart for realistic fiction. Let's begin. The story is called How Many Stars in the Sky by Lenny Hort. The paintings are by James E. Ransom. Okay, and I see the beautiful artwork that James E. Ransom created here. I can see the beautiful strokes here. Okay, very, very well done. All right, so let's see the story How Many Stars in the Sky. How many stars in the sky? Paragraph 1. I can see the 1 there. When this bar moves out of the way. Okay, I can see the 1 in front. Paragraph 2. Mama was away that night and I couldn't sleep. Mama knows all about the sun and stars, but she was away and I didn't want to wake Daddy. So I stared out the window, asking myself, how many stars in the sky? Paragraph 3. I could count so many just from my room. I leaned out the window and I could count even more. That was just gazing over the backyard. How many stars in the sky? I went outside with a pad and pencil. I started to count. I filled up one whole page of the pad. But were lots of stars hidden behind the trees. The house blocked out even more. The street lamp was so bright I couldn't see stars anywhere near it. How many stars in the sky? I climbed up into my treehouse. I stared at the Big Dipper and counted in a great circle. I counted in a great circle all around the sky. I filled up page after page of the pad. But when I got back to the Dipper, it wasn't where I remembered it. I just had been out so long that the stars had moved. Old ones had set, new ones had risen. How many stars in the sky? I climbed down the treehouse, and there was Daddy. I couldn't sleep, I said. I can't either, he said. Your mama won't be back till tomorrow. I told him how I wanted to count all the stars in the sky. If your mama was here, Daddy said, I bet she'd know. Maybe you and I can find some place where it'll be easier to count them. My dog hopped in the truck with us, and we drove into town. The streets were quiet, but lots of street lights were burning. We could see the bright city skyline in the distance. I can see it too right now. Daddy and I counted 25 or 26 stars. He said he thought one of them was the planet Jupiter. This isn't a good place to see stars, I said. It's not a bad place to count them, though, he said, but it's still too hard. Let's go where it'll be really easy. I'm starting to think this story is reminding me of a time when my kids and I, we were wanting to see the stars and see the comet out there. So we had to drive really far out there to be able to see the stars where it wasn't too bright. So I wonder if they're going to drive out to where somewhere where they to find a place where it's not too dark or not too bright rather, because the bright lights don't let you see the stars very well. We drove into the city. The big clock by the tunnel said 2:45, but neither one of us felt like sleeping. Gosh, it's really late. We parked by Mama's house. There was a department store with brightly lit displays in every window. There were street lamps on every corner. There were daisy neon signs, headlights flashing from a steady stream of cars. Powerful searchlights beamed from the roofs of the skyscrapers. And I couldn't see any stars at all. I count exactly one, said Daddy. No, wait, he said. It's an airplane. Maybe the stars just don't want to be counted, I said. I can see the one star right there, which is an airplane. We drove back through the tunnel. I was tired and I thought we were going home. But instead, Daddy drove us deep into the country. There weren't any cars. There weren't any streetlights. There weren't any houses. Even the moon had set. And I knew we could never count all the stars. No matter where I looked, new ones appeared every time I blinked my eyes. Daddy pointed up above and showed me the Milky Way. The stars were so thick I couldn't tell one from another. Now the lights out here aren't as bright, so it lets you see all the stars. We were much too tired to drive anymore, so we slept underneath the stars that night. How fun! I would love to do that. Sleep under the stars outside. It was daylight when we woke. Daddy, I said, all those stars are always out there, even when we can't see them, right? Of course they are, he said. Can we try to count them again sometime? I asked. Any night you feel like it, he said. You and me and Mama can all go out together. I could hardly wait to see Mama and tell her all about it. In a little while, we'd all be back home. But now I was glad just to be standing there with Daddy, basking in the warmth of the one star we could see. And what star is that? And that was the sun. Because the sun is also a star. And I can see it's coming up as they're driving back into the city.